Hi everybody, this is Amanda Ellis of amandaellis.co.uk, Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours and YouTube channel Amanda Ellis. Thanks for tuning in. The video that I'm making this morning is being done because of request really. I'm getting quite a few emails coming in about the September the 23rd alignment of planets and stars that are leading some to speculate with regard to end of the world, rapture, second coming, the arrival of the planet X or Niribu. There's a lot of theories out there, and I feel as though Metatron is wanting me just to put things back into perspective, to give you some views that are coming through. I've already been asking for guidance on this over the last 24 hours. Those of you that watch me know that I channel Archangel Metatron, who effectively is in charge of the ascension of the planet and holds the planet very strongly, very safely, very securely. So if anything were about to happen, he would be the energy that would know about it. As well as others, of course. So I'm going to turn to him, and I think the way to approach this is just to set out the stall firstly in terms of why there is this controversy at the moment, this conspiracy, this misunderstanding, this fear with regard to this date that's coming up quite soon. And as I say, that's the 23rd of September 2017. Now, I'm not an astrologer, so there are plenty of other sites that you can go to, plenty of other YouTube channels that will take you through the alignment of constellations, stars that are leading some to speculate on what may happen. Let me first read a passage to you, which sort of is behind a lot of this worry at the moment. It comes from the New Testament. It is Revelations chapter 12, verses 1 to, well, I mean, Revelations goes on and on, so where do you want to stop? I'm going to say 1 to 9. Sorry, I haven't got my glasses on, which is why I was struggling to read the page. Look how small that print is. Those of us of a certain age who start to get long-sighted. Right, this is the passage that has got people worked up, okay? So, it says, "A great and wondrous sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon, with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on his heads. His tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that he might devour her child the moment it was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with a rod of iron. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled into the desert to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth and his angels with him." So it goes on. I mean, as I say, Revelations is, there are so many passages that you could pick out, and there are so many parts of it that people interpret in many, many ways. But that's the bit that really has got people thinking, because on the 23rd of September 2017, just reach for this little diagram that I printed out. This is just from Google. You can find this image very easily yourself if you just Google 23rd of September 2017, put it into Google Images, you'll find this very easily. And what it shows is the constellations linked into Virgo and Leo. And what it supposedly reveals is that, as has been talked about, the planets line up in a certain way to match that particular passage of the New Testament, okay? However, having said that, there's still controversy over it, because the 12 stars above her head, there's actually really only 9. They count some other planets to sort of make it 12. The sun and the moon do actually feature underneath the feet of the woman. The woman here is because Virgo is linked into woman, and particularly the Virgin. And the thing about, as that passage said about the woman giving birth, there is a passage of Jupiter which supposedly comes up in terms of a position on the woman's body linked to giving birth, okay? So I'm not explaining it as well as other people can, because to be honest, it's not the nature of this video. You can watch other videos that explain it much better than me. My video is a response to all of this, okay? To all of this speculation about this whole subject. But I sort of had to try and attempt to explain it to you. So the fears are basically second coming of Christ, end of the world, rapture times, or maybe Planet X or Niribu arriving to destroy the Earth. Sounds a fun time, doesn't it? Okay, crikey. So where shall we start? I think where we will start is actually just passing it back to Metatron and saying, how do we answer this? How do I answer this, Metatron? Let me just spray the orange attunement energy around myself. I have got notes that he's given me, but I just want to see what he wants me to talk about first. He's just saying go through it as I've told him, as he's told me yesterday, okay. The first point that I've written down on my notes is that we should be very wary at all times, and in particular now, as light workers, in terms of what we put our attention into. We can manifest for good, or we can manifest for ill. So any of us that are working for the light, by nature, are powerful light workers. We are energy warriors, as Metatron calls us. And so if we let our attention and energy be swayed by these sort of theories that are out there, which are only theories, what it does is it lowers our own vibration, and it lowers that of the Earth. And if you start to worry all the time about when the next earthquake is happening, where the next tsunami might be happening, where the next disaster might be happening. I know Metatron's given us warnings, but he's been very clear. We're not supposed to be walking around in fear the whole time. But if we start to do that, we are helping these events that might just be potentialities to come in. That doesn't mean that we can dream in the end of the world, because whether you believe in Niribu about to, smash into our planet, destroy all life on Earth, if you really take a step back from all of that, really just take a step back and think about it, the Earth is pivotal to the running of the wider galaxy, the wider universe. And so what happens on Earth has an impact everywhere else. And so if something were to happen on Earth that was cataclysmic, life-changing for the planet, it would impact on every other planet. It would have like a rippling rollback effect. Now, of course, this does happen over thousands and thousands of years, which is why stars are born and stars die. But yet, what we have to realise is that right now isn't the moment when our planet is supposed to die. Our planet is actually a huge teaching school for many souls at this time who signed up 1 year ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, 70 years ago, to be here right now to change the vibration of this earth to a different dimensional reality, the ascension path. Earth is on an ascension path. She isn't on a path of death and destruction. That's the bottom line. She is on a path of evolution, improvement, and hope. It's the complete polar opposite of all of these theories that seem to arise every few years with regard to, oh my God, it's end of the world times. And when you actually look on social media or you look on YouTube at the people that are basically talking about this, and I'm only talking about it actually because you've asked me to, I wasn't actually even particularly aware it was happening. It was other people that brought it to my attention. I wasn't aware it was even out there. But the people that are generally talking about it, particularly on YouTube, is the fundamentalist Christians. The people who believe in the end of the world theories. Now, you can't argue with that because that is their perspective. They have every right to believe that. But it's very much about, does that resonate with you? Do you believe that? Well, I don't. I don't believe it at all. I also don't believe in a fiery pit of hell. Ask yourself whether you do. I actually believe a big part of hell is being here on earth, separate from God, source, light, stumbling around in the dark. It can truly be hell living here on earth, and it can also be heaven living here on earth. So it's almost as though we know that we're in times of new spirituality coming in to not replace traditional religion, but to offer another alternative to traditional religion. Sorry, my throat's croaky because it's first thing in the morning, but I have to get this video done today. So yeah, new spirituality is offering an alternative to traditional religion. And so what's happening is that some of the cards that traditional religion still have to play, that they've almost been holding back in playing, a bit like a game of poker, you know, you keep your best hand secret, is coming up now. And one of the trump cards is actually about total fear of death, destruction, and second coming. You have to do it in a particular way to be saved, or else you are damned. We're back to this whole energy again. So those of us that are believing in a different philosophy, a different perspective, we don't align with that anymore. It doesn't make sense to us because we know basically that God, source, whatever you want to call it, is love. And that God, source, love belongs to all faiths. So there can't be one moment of second coming where only a select handful are chosen to survive. It goes against everything that we really believe in terms of, for want of a better word, New Age circles. And you've heard me say before, I hate the term New Age. Okay, hate it, but I'm just using it here because it's the only thing I can think of at the moment. Okay? My personal gut feel from tuning into Metatron has been that that passage that talks about the woman with the crown of 12 stars, the moon underneath her foot, the sun underneath her foot, giving birth, it is completely and utterly not about the end of times. It's about the birth of the divine feminine. Completely, 100%, that's what it feels like to me. The birth of the divine feminine. And birth can be painful, or birth can be painless. Having gone through birth 2 times myself, I know it's to do with how you view the birth experience in terms of typically how well your body can cope. I know that's a generalization, but I know going from a place of having been in real fear with first birth, that was really difficult because my body tensed and was in fear and so couldn't do what it naturally needed to do. And the second birth, I was much more relaxed. So birth happened in a more natural, flowing way. And it's the same with this birth of the divine feminine. I do feel as though there is going to be an uprising in terms of the old patriarchal energy that does not want this divine feminine energy to come in. And we can see that now, you know? You don't need to be a psychic to see that. You can see that. You can just open up the papers and you can see very patriarchal figures in our world playing out that old game. And making this today, as I do on Friday, let me just see what date it is. It's important to put the date, Metatron says. It's the 15th of September. Friday the 15th of September. You know, overnight we've had Kim Jong-un again unleash another of his missiles over Japan. You know, again, it's like pulling out the Trump card. I'm not talking about Donald Trump here, I'm just using the Trump card as an analogy. You know, it's like, I've got the biggest, most powerful weapon. I am going to use it. It doesn't mean it's end times, but it may very well mean it's end times of this old patriarchal energy. But it doesn't just disappear in a flash overnight. It transitions slowly, 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 gently, gently, gently. But a bit like contractions, the divine feminine energy will come in, is coming in. And I believe that this September the 23rd portal, because that's what it basically is what Metatron is saying to me, it's a big contraction. It's a big contraction. It might even be the contraction just before the baby, the symbolic baby, is born, okay? And it's the most painful one. So yes, there may be some events that play out, but it's not end of the world. Metatron says to us that, he gave me the analogy this morning of, let's just take it away from politics and all the rest of it for one moment. You know, sometimes in newspapers, let's just lighten the load. In newspapers, you see these funny pictures and somebody's put a picture of a potato or a carrot or, you know, a tomato, and it's grown in a particular way. So it sort of looks like a face. Or somebody sees the face of somebody in a rock, or which I know it can be true, but just bear with me, the analogy is valid. Or they see the reflection of a face in the clouds or something. I mean, that can sometimes be a sign of spirit, of course it can, but what it also is that the human brain is programmed to look for things that resemble a human face, okay? It's coded into us to look for things that are familiar to us. And so the carrot that looks like a face, the potato that looks like this, you know, the cloud that looks like this, all the time we are filtering and we are putting onto inanimate objects sometimes what we want to see. And it's true of this. That's what he's saying. It's true of this. You know, there are many theories. Some of them look very credible on the outside. But people are putting, he's saying, 2 and 2 together and they are making 5, okay? They are not, it's as though they are trying to jumble up the different aspects to make it fit. Even if that passage that I read to you at the start was correct, there aren't 12 stars above her head on the 23rd. There are 9. You can only make it 12 if you add in a few others. You know, all the time we are trying to make something that isn't always there, okay? Very, very clear that he said that. I also want to say this to you, and this is a bit of a challenge. He asked me to do this to you. if I said to you, if we have a list up, if I had a flip chart now, and on that we have a few bullet points, things that potentially may happen, okay? Potentially. Niribu, the arrival of Planet X, the second coming, okay? Let's just, the big ones, okay? And if we just, Metatron comes up to that flip chart and crosses every single one out, okay? No, 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 okay? If he does that, if you're honest, is there, and there will be in some of us, almost like a sinking feeling of, oh. Now I know that sounds really weird because none of us want the world to end. The Niribu one is maybe a better analogy because it's almost as though, and this is where human ego kicks in as well, he's saying, there is a part of us which goes way back in time, our ancestors had it, it's in our DNA, where we think in our lifetime we are the most important people that have ever walked the earth, you know? And so therefore it has to be in our lifetime that these big things happen. I would also pull into that disclosure actually of ETs. If you actually think of how many people have lived on this planet, how long this planet has been in existence, how many stages of evolution there has been, can you not see that sometimes us thinking that these huge things are about to happen is ego-based? It's based on us thinking that somehow we are more special than our ancestors, or this time is more special than what our ancestors lived through. And so therefore it has to be this moment. And every single sector, every single generation to a degree have been guilty of this. Because these theories have been around for many, many generations. And what's tended to happen is each generation have had some event that's been hyped up. And then it's like the balloon inflates with expectation and then it deflates again. And it will carry on happening until we ask ourselves, why are we always looking for the big thing out there that is external to us? Also remembering that, again, if we go back to what most of us believe watching this video, what we believe is that the universe is a reflection of ourselves. And so we can change anything at any time by our thoughts, by our behaviour, by the collective unconscious that is there, both conscious and subconscious, the collective subconscious and the collective consciousness. Okay? What I've actually written down here is, this is what I've written down from Metatron. He says, as soon as you are told something big and external is about to happen, it's as though all of your previous insights and wisdom fly out of the window. Let me repeat that. As soon as you are told that something big and external is about to happen, all of your previous insights and wisdom fly out of the window. And then I've underlined this next point. The universe responds to you. Okay? So think about that. The other thing that I've written down here is regarding that passage, the Revelations passage, that talks about, you know, the woman giving birth, the dragon being there ready to devour the child, and Revelations goes on about the dragon a lot. Dragons historically have had a really bad deal. A really bad deal, you know, taking it away from biblical times. You know, I live in the UK, you know, our patron saint of England is St. George, and St. George slayed the dragon. You know, he put a dagger through its heart and killed it. You know, it's like, hooray, he killed the dragon, you know, he saved us all. And these poor dragons, you know, they're mythological creatures, but they're also energy, they're energies that are back, you know, now helping us at a fifth dimensional level and above. And they, you know, like anything, there are fallen angels and there are also angels of light. Obviously, the angels of light are the ones that we link into. The fallen angel effectively would be Satan. It's the same with dragons, you know. There are so many beautiful, kind, loving, fifth dimensional, seventh dimensional dragons. Again, you know, it's looking back at something that's been written so long ago, in the time that it was written, where these creatures, mythological creatures, would have been feared, would have been hated, you know. And I think what we are experiencing now in 2017 is more and more people are starting to realise actually the dragons aren't the enemy. Why was the dragon ready to devour the child? Probably not that anyway. The dragon was probably there to carry the child to safety. You know, it's all how you interpret something. And I know some people won't agree with what I've just said there, but I stand by it. It's interesting, this week there is a new oracle deck of cards come out by Diana Cooper, who is she's our UK equivalent of Doreen Virtue, except she hasn't, she's staying the course. So she's just released a deck of cards, and they're the dragon oracle cards. So it's interesting that, I don't know whether she's done it deliberately, I don't think she has, but she's released them just at the time where all this, I'm sorry, but I want to say nonsense is coming out with regard to this passage, which is all to do with, again, it's the old thing about fighting light and dark, but the dark is personified by the dragon, you know? And, you know, let's give dragons some credit here. Let's actually just spray the dragon spray, shall we? Okay, so I've got my dragon, and he's a lovely golden dragon, and he represents the element of fire. So let's just see what he has to say about all this. Relax. My flame does not burn. My flame is here to purify. My light is here to help, not hinder. I have always been misunderstood. Very much like parts of you have been misunderstood. But my time is coming, and I am on the right side, fighting for light, protecting your planet, protecting the divine feminine energy that wishes to be properly birthed. I am not here to devour that. I am here to devote my energy to protecting that. I am friend, not foe. I am light, not dark. I am truth, not deceit. And there are many of me. Truly, each of you that embody the divine feminine energy, male or female, will have around you your own dragon to protect that. The fire burns only those that seek to destroy that which is good and to destroy the arrival of this new, powerful, loving, divine feminine energy. There's a real, I don't know if you felt my voice change there, but there was a real like seriousness, sternness that came in there, which is that he will be understood and he will not be misrepresented any longer. And he is here not to destroy, as he just said, but to devote his energy to protecting this new divine feminine energy that is coming in. Beautiful. I'm going to pull a card now. Sitting here beside me, if I just move my camera a little bit, I've set this up last night, so it's had the energy over the whole night. And what I've done here is I've got things that link into what we're talking about. So the divine feminine energy, I've got two images here. We've got Mother Mary, okay, and of course that, going back to this again, the Virgin, Virgo the Virgin, links into Mother Mary, Virgin Mary. We have Isis, who is an embodiment of the divine feminine also, very powerful. Just feel into that energy for one moment. And can you just feel her energy wanting to spread her wings around this world? And I'm just seeing her as though she's been burrowed deep within the earth. And these wings are going to force their way out. And yes, there will be a big influx of that energy on the 23rd. So that's the divine feminine I've got sitting here. I have got some colour mirrors bottles that relate to the planets. So this one is the moon. This one is the sun. This one is Mercury. This one is Venus. I don't have all of their bottles. This one is Jupiter. So I've got a representation of the planets that are being talked about going back to this, okay? They've got all the planets listed out there. I've also got the Christ energy. We'll tune into him in a moment. I have also got my galactic friend linking into Niribu. He'll say something else in a moment. Yeah, so you can see the way I've done it. And I've also got the elements, the good old elements. I've also got Archangel Michael. So that's what I've done. But the thing is, a lot of you are asking me about grids, and I guess this is a grid of sorts, isn't it? It's something that I've done to try and set the energy for today so that the right information comes through to you. But it's all done with intention. But I think it's really good to set them up in advance. So this one was set up last night with the intention of helping me make this video, and also sending you the energy that is coming from this, okay? So this set of cards was chosen by Metatron, and I did pull a card from this deck last night, and I had the card which said why. And it felt like he was saying, well, why are you asking the question? You know, why are you doubting? Why are you in fear about this? But we'll see what we get today. So let's just have one card then, please, linked into this subject we're talking about today, 23rd of September, and all of the theories that are out there, what we can expect, what we need to do, if anything. One card, please. That one. This is the card, and it says, sorry, there's a bit of flare there. It says Treasure Island, okay? Treasure Island. Just want to see what's on the bottom of the pack. Round and Round is on the bottom. I want to take that one as well. So let me just put them back. So we have Treasure Island, and on the bottom of the pack we have Round and Round. I want to firstly talk about the one on the bottom of the pack, because that's like the subconscious energy, the one that's lurking, you know, sort of where we can't really see it, but it is playing a factor here. This Round and Round energy, to me, is about what I was saying earlier, that humanity love to go round and round in circles, you know, in terms of, you know, when is the world going to end? You know, when is this big happening going to arrive? And it's like we work ourselves up into these cycles of fear, whether it be to do with nuclear war or any other thing that's happened in our Earth's history. And we just tie ourselves up in knots. And of course, the way to get out of going round and round, I quite like the fact that actually the symbolism on this card is more a spiral, actually, isn't it? So it's not like the merry-go-round where we can't get off that train of thought, which has plagued humanity for generations, because we're not the first generation to have worried about these things. It's a spiral, and you can quite easily get out of that whole cycle of fear by just walking the labyrinth. I wonder how many of you walk labyrinths. They are amazing healing tools to have and to and to walk. And it's all to do with meditation. And I would encourage anybody that is near a labyrinth, because we're not all lucky enough to have one in our back garden, but if you're near one, to maybe over the next couple of weeks, maybe just try to walk that labyrinth and just think about unraveling that collective fear that's out there in terms of threats, the big threats that face the planet, mass extinction, all of this, because it's as though we've got ourselves into this huge muddle, again, and we keep doing it. And actually it's worse, I think, now than it ever has been, because if you look at things like Niribu, there are many. In fact, let me just grab it because I've got something written down here. But all of the ancient civilizations knew about this, Planet X. They called it different things, but what they didn't have is they didn't have the internet, which actually just adds fuel to the fire, and it creates more and more fear. And in fact, the last time this particular, constellation would have been in the sky, because it has been in the sky before, the internet was more of a baby, or wasn't even there. So, it's fueling the fire now. Let's look at this card though that's come out. It's quite interesting. I want to just tune into this, but I want you to take a proper look at it as well. Can you see what actually that is? Because what we've got is a massive big sea turtle, and it has a box of treasure with hearts and stars coming out of it, and it's the number 9. And straight away I'm linking into the Galapagos Islands, and this is where my geography starts to get a bit sketchy, my science, my education, but I do know, I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying Galapagos Island, giant turtles, it's all linked into early stages of this planet, isn't it? Is it to do with where Darwin started to discover theories in terms of evolution? I think it is. I wonder whether I ought to just double check that fact. Metatron's saying you don't need to double check it, but I am going to. If you just hold on one moment, I'm just going to pause the video. Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to check that fact. I should trust, shouldn't I? I know I should trust, but there's nothing wrong sometimes with wanting to just check before you say something. Even when you've got Metatron in your ear saying you don't need to. Yeah, I'm right. There's a link to Darwin with the giant tortoise, okay, and the Galapagos Islands. That's really interesting. And in fact, it's in the news. I'm just looking at my phone, and 17 hours ago, there is an article, one day ago, scientists hope to restore extinct Galapagos tortoise. Wow, okay, so it's in the news. Didn't even know that. To me, though, this card, we've pulled it, it links into evolution. Whether you agree with Darwin or you don't agree with Darwin, at the end of the day, there's a couple of theories out there in terms of how we, how we evolved, how we became who we are, and he's right up there as one of the theories that you either agree with or you don't agree with. But the fact that we've got this huge tortoise stroke turtle there with a treasure chest on top of it says to me that what we are talking about here, what we are ushering in with this window on 23rd of September, yes, it's complete confirmation. It's not the end of the world. It's the birth of the new. It's evolution. It's another evolutionary phase, and it's a big one, okay? So whatever happens around that date, please realize that it is part of that. Yeah, and the most likely scenarios that could happen, but again, this is all something that can be changed, but potentialities are probably hurricane, earthquake, or something escalating with North Korea. But these are all things that we already know. They're already things that we can see on the horizon. But equally, all of those, were they to happen, are indicative of the birthing of this new evolutionary stage. Natural disasters are about Mother Earth literally having her birth pain, and the Korean situation is very much about the patriarchal rule that sort of knows it's running out of time and is in fear of that. Okay, I just want to see if there's anything I haven't said. Oh, okay, yeah, there is something else to say. And this is on Niribu. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure. I have just, this is interesting. Let me just grab my laptop down here. This is off somebody's website. I don't even know who it is, but anyway. This whole thing about Planet X, and is none of this is new, okay? History records many names for Planet X. The Sumerians called it the 12th planet, or Niribu. Translates into the planet of passing, by the way. The Babylonians and the Mesopotamians called it Marduk, the king of the heavens and the great heavenly body. The ancient Hebrews referred to it as the winged globe. The Greeks called it Nemesis. Prophets have named it the blue star, the red star, the fiery messenger, and the comet of doom. You know, there's so much out there. So none of this is not new information. This is not new energy that we're dealing with. You know, again, it's ego. It's like, okay, it might be happening in our lifetime, but none of this is new. Now, the most important point, I don't want to get too much drawn into it all because I'm not an expert on Niribu, and I don't particularly want to be either, if I'm honest. But the one thing Metatron is saying to me here is, even if there was a potentiality of our planet being knocked into, you know, or, you know, devastated by this Planet X, the Galactics would step in way before that eventuality were ever to occur. Go back to the point I made at the start, that Earth affects the rest of the cosmos. And it's almost as though, when are we going to really get that into our heads? And it's difficult for us to get it into our heads because we haven't got it into our heads at Earth level. If we're really honest, most of us haven't got our heads around the fact that the people living on the other side of the world to us, in very different situations to us, with very different belief systems to us, maybe with different skin colour to us, you know, different language, they are us. We can't get our head around that. And that if we behave in a particular way in England or Canada or US or wherever you're watching this, it's going to impact somebody else on the other side of the globe. It can't not. None of us want to accept that. None of us get it. Well, few of us do. We like to think we do, but then we behave in a way that doesn't reflect that all the time. It's a tough lesson. It's one we're having to learn as a species. And can you just see that what I'm saying here about Earth and its role and its place is exactly the same thing? If something were to happen on Earth, it would affect all of the other planets. So, relax. Nothing's going to end. We are in times of ascension. And yes, they are difficult and they are challenging, and the birth pains are severe sometimes. And we may well be affected by that, but life goes on. Life always goes on. Let's just tune into our friend here and see if there's anything else that I can pick up on him, from him. So it's in terms of the galactic energy that we have around us, helping us. What he's saying to me is that many of us, because we are linked back to other star systems that we may well have had incarnations on. He's talking about thousands and thousands of years, you know, times when actually you weren't necessarily even in a body. You might have been formless. You have a memory within your body of destruction of another planet. But it was never due to, well, it was not usually due to, he's correcting me there, not usually due to something that species had done. It was more to do with the symphony of the way the universe works, and that when a star or a planet is meant to die, it dies, and when it's not meant to die, it doesn't. But any planet or star that dies, everything will have been taken care of at a wider galactic level, so that it doesn't affect in a detrimental way the other planets and star systems that are to remain. But we have within ourselves this memory of being somewhere. He's talking galactic, but of course it can also be other incarnations here on Earth, where we have been at a place of destruction. And so that is what we need to heal within ourselves, to heal the fear held deep within our, I'm not even feeling it so much in my base, I'm feeling it, it's like in the spine. It's a memory that is in the spine, and allow that to grow. And he's saying actually that as the chakra system evolves and extends, because we know the chakra system is evolving and extending. We used to just work with 7, we're now working with 11, 12, 13. Different teachers have different understandings of it all, but the point is it will continue to grow. And as the chakra system grows and the aura grows, over generations the physical body will also grow. And so some of these old painful memories, it's as though what I'm being shown is they're being stretched. It's like and this is factual, he's saying that human beings are becoming taller, stronger. You can see that generation to generation, each generation is getting taller, stronger. The spine that carries the memory of many, many past incarnations also stretches and grows. And that allows in new, fresh energy to re-energize and clear old thought forms, old energy forms. And there's a great deal of compassion and love coming to us from the galactic realm, who understand the concerns, the worries, why they come up, why we behave in a way as we do from time to time. And I'm being shown a rabbit with, you know, looking at the headlights coming at it and just total fear. And he's saying all you have to do is just get out of the way of the headlights. And by that he means get out of the way of your own thought forms, your own fear. Thank you. He's wise, isn't he, this one? Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Let's just spray Metatron to see if he's got anything else, but I think we're nearly complete. So Metatron is saying, he's like bringing it right back down to earth again. He's saying, he's wanting me to look you in the, look at you now, and right look in my eyes. He's saying, okay, what are you going to do on September the 23rd? Make some positive plans, he's saying, okay? You know, have a party, have a, I don't know, go out for dinner, you know, hug your children a bit tighter. He's saying, do something that is joy-filled on the 23rd of September. And also, okay, this is an important point coming through right now. He's saying, I've talked about setting up grids before. He's saying, set up a grid that represents the divine feminine energy coming in. Now you can do that on a collective level, or you could do it on a personal level, you know, the divine feminine energy coming in to you, to your body. I'll just show you something that I've actually had set up for a while. It's not a grid as such, but I'm just going to reach for it because I didn't realise I was going to be talking about this. This is actually a light box that I've got, okay? And sitting on this light box for a while has been Kuan Yin. I've also got an Aura Soma bottle, which is Archangel Shamuel, but it's actually, the colours have changed. And in fact, actually it's going a bit murky now, so I think I'll probably bath in that bottle to get the energy. That's almost like the divine, that's like my dose of divine feminine energy that I need. Because I've got quite a masculine energy, so I need to get more in touch with my divine feminine. And then onto that, I haven't got them to hand, so, because I didn't know I was going to be doing this, but let me just see if I've got anything else. I've got a box of crystals here, fortunately. I could add onto my grid representing the divine feminine for the 23rd. I've got a little beautiful rose opal angel here. I've got some stones, that one says Shamuel. I've got this beautiful double heart rose quartz, which can go on there as well. I've got some selenite. I'm just going with what I feel that would help me to embody more of the divine feminine within my body. It's going to be different for you. And I've got some spirit quartz here. Okay, so let's just say that was my choice. And then I guess I also need my Archangel Shamuel spray, but I haven't got that to hand. So I'm going to put it might sound a strange choice, but I'm putting the Christ spray on it. And that's because for me, I know it is the Christ energy, but I link in very strongly to Mary Magdalene with that as well, okay? So, I mean, that's just an example, okay? I've done that off the hoof because I didn't know I was going to be doing it. But make something that represents the divine feminine energy for you and your life. Use the colours, use crystals, use sprays, use silk scarves, use affirmations, do whatever you want to do. Use the sacred geometry underneath, you know, the templates that I've shown you before. There are no right or wrong ways to do it. It's just a visual representation of the divine feminine energy coming in, okay? And as I say, do it for yourself or do it for the wider world. I think that's probably the last thing Metatron wants to say. Let's just see if there's anything else. He says that's enough for now. Okay. And he sends you lots of love, as do I. Okay, I have no idea how long this video is. If you've got to the end of it, well done. I will record a more general one in a week or so for September and what's just going on out there. Sending you lots of love. As I say, those of you that want to know a bit more about my work, my website is amandaellis.co.uk and my Facebook page is Angelic Celestial Colours. And the sprays, I make all of these sprays because I don't often say this, so I don't like to promote, I don't know, I've got the thing about I hate hard sell, but so many people are saying, where do you get the sprays, and not realising that I make them, okay? Me and a colleague of mine, Tracy, we make these, they're handmade, they all came through from Metatron, obviously this one's Christ, there's 40 to choose from, they're all up on my website to buy, okay? And we ship all over the world every day. Much love, bye for now.